Hello, everybody. I'm standing in front of the Spring Lake Park Hy-Vee, and this is where I go grocery shopping pretty much every week. And behind me, you can see a pole that's got a solar panel on it, and attached to that solar panel is a license plate reader camera. And so every time you drive in and out of the Hy-Vee parking lot, a camera is recording your license plate and reporting that information to a centralized database operated by a company named Flock. Now, there are over 20 of these cameras across our district, probably more like 40. I don't know the exact number. And you can track a number of their locations using an online tool called DFlock, but also by looking on the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension's website, because they are required by law to log every agency that's using these license plate reader cameras and to report where their locations are. Recently, though, there's been a massive expansion of these cameras across our district. In September, the city of Fridley partnered with 5 different locations, private businesses, to install license plate readers on their property and gave them a $3,000 grant to do that. And that's something new, to be perfectly honest. I mean, just this month, the city of Coon Rapids requested from the county of Anoka that they be allowed to install license plate readers on any county equipment, and that was granted at the December county board meeting. So we have an expansion of these things, and this is important because I don't think a lot of people understand that you basically are being recorded and your movements are being recorded every time you drive around our district. Now, look, there are legitimate law enforcement purposes for this data, and this has been used to solve crimes and to track down people that have committed crimes. And for that purpose, I understand it. However, we have to be really cautious with the amount of data that's being gathered on individuals because how it's used is really important. Now, look, there's been a recent reporting about this Flock database being accessed by ICE enforcement agents using their local law enforcement contacts to do searches in that database. And if we literally have a network of thousands and thousands of these license plate readers across our country, and we're recording that data in a centralized database that can be searched, now you can track people's movements. And when you have a government that's not upholding freedom of expression, is targeting people based on their beliefs and their immigration status or any other number of categories that have nothing to do with crime, you have a real problem. Minnesota actually has some pretty strong laws when it comes to data security and data destruction when it comes to license plate readers. You're not supposed to retain data beyond 60 days. It's supposed to be destroyed. It's supposed to be only accessed if there's reasonable suspicion that a crime has been committed. I believe that all these things are being followed. But I also believe that when data is available, it can be used for nefarious purposes. You may recall a couple of years ago, there was a scandal where Department of Public Safety employees were accessing ID data and looking at certain people's IDs over and over again. This is a far more powerful source of data. So I don't really know what the answer is here. I want to ask some more questions of our local law enforcement agencies to find out how they're complying with state law and also how they plan to use this data. But I do know that in a world in which we have more and more artificial intelligence and the ability to process huge amounts of data, it's no longer the case that people can just rely on the fact that the government doesn't have the ability to go through all this stuff. There's literally AI agents going through this data every day. So this is really the next kind of frontier in the work that a legislator has to do, is to not just be on top of what's in front of them, but also think ahead to how data might be used or misused. And as your state representative, I would love to do that work alongside you. My name is Aaron Clems. I'm running for Minnesota House District 39A, representing the cities of Fridley, Hilltop, Columbia Heights, and Spring Lake Park. And I would appreciate your vote. Thanks so much. Have a good day. Bye-bye.